Allah Yahweh Bahashim Amashiach Yahushai Bahashim Rekah HaKadash. I'm back with you with another straight to the point moment, dealing with the doctrine and tenets of life, which is this new covenant, and the gospel that must be preached forth throughout the four corners of the earth before the time of restitution, aka salvation, shall come. And we're just going to pick up where we left off at, dealing with sacrifices, man, and the sharing of wisdom within this wisdom gauntlet, dealing with the new covenant. All right. And again, this is wisdom sharing, and this is pre-camp. This is one of another pre-camp sharing of wisdom amongst the brotherhood, but still dealing with the same topic of sacrifices. We're going to be given the book of Matthew, chapter 20. And we'll start at verse 12. The book of Matthew, chapter 20. And we'll start at verse 12. Saying, these last have wrought but 1 hour, and thou hast made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden and the heat of the day. Verse 13, but he answered one of them and said, Friend, I do thee no wrong. Didst thou not agree with me for a penny? Verse 14, take that thine is, and go thy way, and I will give unto this last, even as unto thee. Verse 15, is it not lawful for me to do what I will with mine own? Is thine eye evil because I am good? And this is dealing with that parable with a penny. But it's also the similitude of a sacrifice, because you had those who sacrificed. They came into this truth at a different hour, some earlier than some of us, some later than some of us, but they came to this truth in a different time. And they forgot that their sacrifice be of what? Be of the spirit, which means they have to be considered blameless both in speech and in their walk. And you have that amongst us right now, those brothers who have received the same gospel and testimony we had by dispensation of the Rekah HaKadash. And though they may have came in earlier or later, you see the envy amongst the brethren, which Hamashiach warned us about before we even got to this point that we at now. Because each brother has a different service within the body. And you'll have those like, well, if you're not teaching this or you're not teaching with us, then you're not really teaching how you're supposed to be teaching. You got those who have come in this new covenant that teach and bring up certain doctrines and stuff that have nothing to do with salvation, but have made these things the literal pillar of what they believe they should have power in, and have bolstered themselves up to a seat that is almost in the point that they want to have desire to see the Moses. You even have those who have tarried off the path of what teaching this gospel is all about, and have went into other doctrines that have nothing to pertain to salvation, forgetting that we have a sacrifice in who? Hamashiach. And in that sacrifice, we had an example of how we should walk and speak. But they forget those things because they truly have lack of belief or lack of faith, which is obedience. Let's continue. Matthew 20 and 16. So the last shall be first, and the first last. For many be called, but few chosen. And you got the context there, that many that will first shall be last, and many that will last shall be first. So you get the understanding right there, man. Those who came in first, you even got those who came in and had an understanding of the doctrine as a whole, that we're warning right now about the covenant, and they still don't understand the principal tenets of which is spiritual. All right, the book of Isaiah, chapter 3, verse 10. Still going into that context of sacrificing time, sleep, joy in the sense of carnal joy within this world, or rest and relaxation that some brothers bring up often. Sacrifices those things for a little time so that they may gain the kingdom and the heavenly treasures that be stored up for them, that will promise to them. All right, Salakia, the book of Isaiah, chapter 3, verse 10. Say ye to the righteous that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Verse 11. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hand shall be given him. And this is what we're getting into, man. When you come into this covenant, when you come into this sacrifice here, there's a blameless walk that you must obtain through the Spirit, and also through carnality of manifesting those same works that we have been given example to by who? Yahweh Shai, man. Because there's a lot that goes on to this thing. That's why it's considered heavy. You know? That's why it's considered heavy. Because it's not light in the sense of what? The Spirit, but very heavy, man. And the understanding of this sacrifice, man, is truly heavy, because it's a sacrifice that literally determines whether you get life or whether you proceed on to death, whether you are filled with the Spirit of the Holy One or whether you don't have the Spirit at all, therefore walk on in darkness. All right, the book of Hebrews chapter 13. Verse 15. By him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to Yahweh continually. So let our praises, our prayers, our walk, let us offer him that sacrifice of praise to Yahweh continually. Let us offer it, man. This is Abel offered his sacrifice, and it was considered, it had got respect for the Most High. We should offer our sacrifice in the like manner also of our forefathers. Verse 15 again. By him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to Yahweh continually. That is the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to his name. And so the fruits of our lips are giving what? Praise unto his name, speaking forth his doctrine, and nothing else. If there is any correction amongst the brethren, we ought to pray and bring our gift unto the offering. Therefore, we may gain a brother. So there's spiritual similitudes throughout this entire scriptures, from the law into the testimony, man. Verse 16, but to do good and to communicate forget not, for with such sacrifices Yahweh is well pleased. And herein lies the understanding. Verse 16, but to do good and to communicate forget not, for with such sacrifice, so he's telling you doing good and communicating properly is what? The sacrifice. With such sacrifices, Yahweh is well pleased. Let us meditate. So we have our sacrifices, all spiritual indicators of what the true sacrifice is. It's not according to, burnt offerings or blood offerings consisted with bulls, goats, rams, turtle doves, but it's more of the spiritual sense, those things that we profess with our lips and the way we live and walk in our lifestyle from day to day. The book of Romans chapter 6, verse 4, man, this is heavy. Therefore, we are buried with him by baptism into his death. So by being baptized in his death, we are buried with him, and therefore we should be raised up just like him and so, because we have the blood of the testimony, man. We have that covenant that we have made with him by what? Sacrifice. Therefore, we are buried with him by baptism into death, that like as Hamashiach was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of spirit. We should walk in newness of the spirit. We should walk in newness of spirit. Heavy, man. Let us meditate. No, this is heavy, man. This is heavy. The book of Psalms, chapter 50, verse 22. Now consider this, yea, ye that forget Yahweh, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Let me read it again. Verse 22. Psalms chapter 50, verse 22. Now consider this, ye that forget Yahweh, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. And so us being examples and walking in the light of Hamashiach by the blood of this covenant, we have to keep these things in remembrance. For he said the Spirit should bring back to remembrance all things. And so that's what we see now, and that's why we walk and speak in such a manner, man. Most of the brothers of the new covenant. And for those who are just now coming in, it's okay, brother. Keep up with the pace of the scriptures and know that through the Spirit that you must be cleansed first. Then the corner will be cleansed. That's how it works. That's the proper way in which it works, the order. Verse 23, whoso offereth praise, what offereth praise, what offereth praise. Notice the offering here is the praise, glorifieth me. And to him that ordereth his conversation aright, I will show the salvation of Yahweh. So by his conversation, his understanding of what's supposed to be taught, when it is ordered right, he shows us the salvation of Yahweh. It's written right here in Psalm 50 and 23, man. And the glory that we have in him is through who? The glory that we have in the Father is through who? Yahweh Shah, man. So let that be your glory. Let that be your atonement of us being in the new covenant. Let that be your drill, man. All right? The book of Hosea, chapter 6, and we'll start at verse 5, man. Therefore have I showed them by the prophets, I shall have slain them by the words of my mouth. So notice, he has showed us by the prophet, but they are being slain by the words of his mouth. So it's not actual fireballs and laser beam cannons. Again, you're going to keep hearing this constant theme, because this is what these brothers bring out and teach, man. That they need a new body so that they can have physical new power, or they can literally destroy people at will based off their current understanding now, which is false. So we of the new covenant thank the Most High for everything. We thank him for everything, man. And this is one of the main things. We thank him for his sacrifice, man, for us. Hosea 6 and 5. Therefore I have showed them by the prophets. I have slain them by the words of my mouth, and thy judgments are as the light that goeth forth. So his judgments will help us walk in a place of darkness, but walk in what? The light. Verse 6, for I desire mercy and not sacrifice. For what? I desire mercy and not sacrifice. What did the Most High say? I desire mercy and not sacrifice, and the knowledge of Yahweh more than burnt offerings. Heavy, man. Heavy. Verse 7, but they, like men, have transgressed the covenant. They have what? Transgressed the covenant. They have what? Transgressed the covenant. There have they dealt treacherously against me. And so the covenant that we had of the old, we broke that when we left the land of Egypt. This is why the Lord said, in which covenant they kept not when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. And so you get the reference point here in Hosea 6 and 7. But they, like men, have transgressed the covenant. There have they dealt treacherously against me. And so you got that. So what's going to help give us a solution or a purpose into what we must serve and why we must receive of this New Testament gospel? Let us continue, man. Let us continue. Heavy. Romans chapter 12, verse 1. Book of Romans chapter 12, verse 1. Bear with me. Romans chapter 12, verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice. So part of this new sacrifice, or the sacrifice that is acceptable to God, is blameless men that have been cleansed. We've seen this back in the book of Numbers, chapter 12. We also seen the book of Exodus, chapter 18, man, about those of being part of that tabernacle, that house of Yahweh Shai, how they could not partake of the, or God, or being a part of that house of that new tabernacle of Yahweh, how they could not partake of the covenant or the sacrifice except, or the blood, except they be what? Clean. We've seen this back in Numbers. We've seen it in Exodus. So now here you go again in Romans 12 and 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto Yahweh, which is your reasonable service. Heavy, man. Heavy, 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 heavy. Requiring of us in the body, the carnal, to be blameless, and showing ourselves to be what? Living sacrifices, as Yahweh Shai was, man. This is heavy, man. This is heavy. Continuing. Heavy. The book of 1 Peter, chapter 2, verse 5. The book of 1 Peter, chapter 2, verse 5. Ye also as lively stones, as lively stones are built up a spiritual house. So this house, or this New Jerusalem, or this people of Jerusalem, is by the Spirit, man. I believe the brother posted a comment, Banyamyam, beautiful precept that goes right along with this, about that spiritual house being built up, man. And we being part of that spiritual house, as Hebrews chapter 3 stated. Which house or which tabernacle ye are. We are those men that have been held blameless, that have been tested, man. And we couldn't partake of that ceremony, as here in 1 Peter 2 and 3 said, if so be ye have tasted that the Lord is gracious. See, partaking of that blood or that sacrifice requires us to be what? Holy, separated, or blameless. Heavy, man. Verse 4, to whom communing as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of Yahweh and precious. That's Yahweh Shai. Verse 5. Ye also as lively stones, we have been resurrected as what? Lively stones, are built up a spiritual house. We make up that spiritual temple, that new temple. And holy priesthood. What? And holy priesthood. This is the priesthood after Melchizedek, to offer up spiritual sacrifice to what? Offer up spiritual sacrifice to what? Offer up spiritual sacrifice acceptable to the Most High by Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Let us meditate. 4 and verse 17, man. Not because I desire a gift, but I desire fruit that may abound to your account. So the same similitude of fruit, we saying fruit of the lips, fruits meant for repentance, we get here to abound to our account, man. Spiritual sacrifice, being holy and an acceptable pillar, as partakers of this body within Hamashiach, this new temple, this tabernacle of God, right? And we walk through the veil, which is who? Hamashiach's flesh, man. Heavy, man. Verse 18, but I have all and abound. I am full, having received of Epaphroditus the things which were sent from you, and an odor of sweet smell, a sacrifice acceptable, well pleasing to Yahweh. Heavy, man. Heavy. Philippians chapter 2, and we'll start at verse 12, man. This is so heavy, man. Wisdom upon wisdom, similitude upon similitude, dark sentences. All these things are being made known to us by what? The Rikah HaKadosh, because we are those who made a sacrifice, a covenant by sacrifice with him, mentioned in the book of Psalms chapter 50, verses 5 through 8, man. We are those same men. Like Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, because we know we have always obeyed, because we are those who are born of God. And anything that is born of God sins not. This is why he says, wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, because you got men talking about, well, we can't do or keep anything until we can't even receive a covenant until we get new bodies. Like they literally making bargains, and they bargaining with God on how they should receive a covenant until Yahweh shall return. So you don't believe in nothing. You don't believe in the blood. You don't even believe in the Last Supper that was literally a carnal witnessing of what happened then. And those who spoke the new covenant then, which should profess now, just like Abel's blood, heavy, like Abel's blood that shall be professing now, like in Hamashiach's blood, what? His testimony. We are the testimony of this new gospel, this new covenant, man. Not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence. So in his absence, we still speak upon his name. We still speak upon what he established, which was the new covenant. We speak about the blood, and we speak about the covenant we made with him by what? Sacrifice. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Verse 13. For it is Yahweh which worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. Again, we give those sacrifices of good pleasure by speaking his testimony, this is the prophecy. The true prophecy of the true gospel is those who speak the gospel of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, the new covenant, man. The testimony of Yahweh Shai is the gospel. All right. Verse 14, do all things without murmurings and disputings. Verse 15, that ye may be blameless and harmless. That we may what? Be blameless and harmless. And this is the warning that goes out for all of us, man. Be blameless and be harmless, man. Keep the ministry blameless. The sons of God, what we consider the sons of God. We are the true sons of God, without rebuke, where no man can even bring charge against us, man. In the midst of a crooked and perverse nation. A what? Crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world. So we're in the midst of those that we shine as lights in the world, so that those who receive the gospel may see us, man. So it's not only behind a dashboard and camera, but it's also in the presence of those who need to see that light, man. Yeah, we tear down strongholds in the spirit when you're listening to the word, but you saw those men go out and have discourse amongst those other men and amongst the brethren and amongst the nation and amongst the Gentiles, that the gospel may go be preached forth throughout the world. So this is heavy, man. Verse 16, holding forth the word of life, which is Yahweh Shai, and his word, the spirit, the Rekah, that I may rejoice in the day of Hamashiach, that I have not run in vain, neither labored in vain. So if you're not speaking this gospel testimony, you are working and running in vain. It's vanity, man. As I brought out in other videos, it's all vanity. It has to be done according to what the Most High has given us, according to the example by which Yahweh Shai left us. Verse 17, man. Yea, if I be offered upon the sacrifice, what? If I be offered upon the sacrifice, if we be made martyrs, for the work's sake or for Yahweh Shai's sake, this is the context in which I brought out in one vid about those who are afraid to come out. But here's the rest of the context and more evidence into it. Let me read it again. Yea, if I be offered upon the sacrifice and service of your faith. See, our faith, he didn't give us the power of fear. He didn't instill us with fear, but with the power of love. So we must go out and teach amongst our people. Our faith is as hard as their faces as a flint stone. Heavy, man. And we must teach forth this gospel in what? In power of what? The Rekah Kadash. Unbending, unyielding, no fear. Not hiding behind the camera, but teaching forth this gospel so that the Gentiles that he chose to shine his lights amongst a crooked and perverse nations, that they may see his works. They may what? See his works. They may what? See his works amongst these men. This is the gospel, man. And if we become martyrs, if we lose our life for the sake of Yahweh Shai, we have gained it, man. Stephen was an example of this, how he lost his life for the sake of preaching the gospel of Yahweh Shai. Paul was another brother. John was another brother. And the list goes on, man. For many have taught of the gospel of Hamashiach, and some died and some didn't. But let not our fear be lied upon those things of death. But let it be brought up to the sacrifice, the covenant we made with him by sacrifice to life, man. Verse 17 again. Yea, if I be offered upon the sacrifice and service of your faith, I joy and rejoice with you all. Verse 18. For the same cause also do ye joy and rejoice with me. Because we have been made examples like Hamashiach, man. We are the same, man. We walk the same footsteps. We teach the same doctrine. For there be many saviors. Heavy, man. Let us continue. Let us continue, man. Proverbs chapter 21. Heavy. We start at verse 2, man. Matter of fact, we start at verse 1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. Just like we hear the Lamb's voice, we follow whithersoever he goeth, man. Verse 2, every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the hearts. Verse 3, to do justice and judgment is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. So this is part of us being examples, man. To do justice and judgment is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice, man. So to be blameless in this ministry and to have your speech seasoned with grace and not to have fear is better than sacrifice, that some of these brothers continue on in their teachings of a 55-year-old camp doctrine from One West. You niggas desire to see a day of the Lord, but shall not see it. Heavy, man. Heavy. Psalms chapter 51, man, verse 14. The book of Psalms chapter 51, starting at verse 14, man. Heavy, man. Matter of fact, let us start up a few extra verses, man. Because this is more understanding to those who even teach against the new covenant and the doctrine thereof. Here is it written in stone again in Psalms 51. Create in me a clean heart A clean heart. Men cleansed by what? The blood that we seen in Numbers. We seen in Exodus. We see in the New Covenant in Hebrews 9, man. Conscience is purged, man. Create in me a clean heart. You see it in Jeremiah 31 and 32. Ezekiel 36, man. Ezekiel 37. Ezekiel chapter 20. You see this continue a constant, man. Heavy, man. Create in me a clean heart, O Yahweh, and renew a right spirit within me. See, he already put the spirit within us and a new heart within us written on fleshly tables, according to 2 Corinthians 3, man. Heavy, man. Verse 11, cast me not away from thy presence and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Recall HaKadosh, the same thing Yahushua promised to us, man. For the kingdom of heaven is within you. Verse 12, restore unto me. Bring what? Restore unto me. That's what the Recall HaKadosh did. It brought back the remembrance of the former things, man, to those specific men that had the testimony within them. Restore me unto me the joy of thy salvation. We had salvation from the beginning, and uphold me with thy free spirit. Heavy, man. Heavy. Heavy. Verse 13. Then will I teach transgressors. Who are we supposed to teach now? The Gentiles. Transgressors thy ways, and sinners shall be converted unto thee. Heavy, man. Verse 14, deliver me from blood guiltiness. What? Blood guiltiness. What? Blood guiltiness. So now by his blood, we have been washed from the guiltiness of those who shed blood of the prophets, man. O Yahweh, thou power of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud of thy righteousness. Testimony of the gospel, which is prophecy, man. Heavy. Heavy, man. Romans chapter 10. This is heavy, man. Heavy. Romans chapter 10, starting at verse 9, man. Romans 10, starting at verse 9. Heavy, man. Heavy. Heavy. So now, and again, you have men that teach against this, not having an understanding because they lack the spirit. And then those who have received of the spirit, not remembering the things that got them there, especially the testimony, forgetting the smallest things, man. Romans chapter 10, and I start at verse 7. Oh, who shall descend into the deep, that is to bring up Hamashiach again from the dead? Because this goes to those who are still waiting on a damn new covenant that has already been established. So you waiting on another nigga to go to ascend to the deep to find Hamashiach to bring him up from the dead. That's basically what you're saying. Verse 8, but what saith it? The word is nigh. The word is not. The Rekah HaKadosh is nigh. Even in thy mouth. Woo, we have the Holy Spirit within our mouth because we preach of the things of the testimony, man, of the new covenant. And in thy heart, it was already written upon what? In thy heart. That is the word of faith, which we preach. Heavy, man. Heavy. And it's based upon this simple principle, verse 9, that if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Yahushua, and shalt believe in thine heart, and what in thine heart, that Yahweh have raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. And this is the simplicity which is in Hamashiach, man. But a lot of you hate that. You hate it because it's not by your works, nor do you believe in what we preach because it's not according to your will of your funky ass 55-year One West camp doctrine, man. Heavy, man. Verse 10. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. So he's giving you the example that we had back in the book of Acts, that we had in the book of Romans, that we had in the book of Corinthians, all these New Testament scriptures. We also had it back in the book of Psalms when David opened his mouth and confessed, man. Moses opened his mouth and confessed. For had ye believed in Moses, you would have also believed in me, for Moses taught of me. Heavy, man. Verse 11. For the scripture saith, whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed. So we go forth and preach this gospel unashamed. We don't have to hide behind a goddamn camera. Some of us. Some of us actually go out and teach. And then for those who do sit behind the camera, it's okay, brother. We all have our different offices. Teach the gospel. That's all that matters. Teach the new covenant. Pray for the brethren, those who teach the new covenant. And curse not. Let your speech be seasoned with grace. Therefore the hearers may hear, man. Therefore you keep the ministry blameless. You keep this ministry blameless. Verse 12. For there is no difference between Jew and the Greek. For the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him. To all that call upon him. To all that call upon him. So again, whether you teaching out front or you behind the camera, man, it doesn't matter. We all call upon the name of the Lord because he has given us the testimony. He has given us the spirit of the Rekah, and we all believe in that same sacrifice that we made with him, that same covenant we made with him by sacrifice, man. This is heavy, man. The book of Psalms, chapter 50, verses 14, man. Psalms chapter 50, going right back to Psalms 50, man. We're going to start at verse 14. Heavy, man. Offer unto the Most High thanksgiving and pay thy vows unto the Most High. So our prayers and our vows we are to pay unto the Most High. This is the covenant we have made with him by sacrifice. Both blood in, and also by spirit, man. Verse 15. And call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. Verse 16. But unto the wicked, Yahweh saith, so unto you wicked, you unbelieving, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? You niggas out there that teaching in vain. Yeah, you don't believe in the covenant, nor do you profess his holiness through the prophecy or testimony of Yahweh Shai. So how dare you declare his statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? What covenant do you have? You don't even have the old covenant. Verse 17, seeing thou hatest instruction. The instruction was for us to go out and teach and prophesy of the gospel and testimony of Yahweh Shai, man, the new covenant. And castest my words behind thee. And you take this instruction, this wisdom that has been given unto the few men that are scattered. You cast it behind you, man. You niggas quick to cast lot and shoot dice and go out to these fucking clubs. You quick to do that. But the words of the Most High, you quick to throw away. You quicker to throw away those things, man. Heavy, man. Heavy. Heavy, man. Continuing, man. Verse 17, man. Seeing thou hatest instruction and casting my words behind thee. Verse 18, when thou sawest a thief, then thou contendest with him and has been partaker with adulterers. And a lot of you camps, you former One West camps and you former One West breakoffs, even unto this day, have stolen, robbed, hurt. You did all type of wickedness, even adultery, man. Pedophilia, all types of shit is amongst you, man. This is why some brothers call to say, well, be not amongst the midst of y'all, man, which is truth. Separate yourselves from these men. They choose not godliness. They don't believe in that covenant. They have not made a covenant with him by sacrifice. They refuse to be blameless. They refuse to sacrifice themselves as living sacrifices, man. And therefore make provisions for their flesh and say, well, we're waiting on him to return to give us a new covenant. Because they're still in their damn flesh. Verse 19, thou givest thy mouth to evil, and they bless and curse. They curse and bless not, man. That's the majority of these brothers, man. You even got those in the new covenant that curse brothers, man. Based off small differences, man. Though we profess the same covenant, we believe in the same thing, they curse and feel they have preeminence over other men. And thy tongue frameth deceit. Heavy, man. Verse 20. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. How dare y'all, man? Especially you brothers in the new covenant. This is crazy, man. We supposed to be gathering together, man. But because certain brothers have not chosen the same path as other brothers, because our paths have already been directed by the Spirit, and we must preach for this gospel according to which he has given each and every one of us who have retained this gospel, you slanderous your brother. You disown him. It's you over there and we over here. It's heavy, man. It's heavy. It's heavy, man. Verse 21, these things hast thou done, and I kept silent. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such a one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. So even you will be set in order. Even we will be set in order. Verse 22, now consider this, ye that forget Yahweh, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Warning to us brothers in the new covenant, man. Be blameless. We are called to be what? Perfect. Deuteronomy 18:13. We have to be blameless, man. Because we have that spirit within us. Therefore, we have the blood. And if we continue in sin, then there remaineth no more what? Sacrifice for sin. We're not speaking about those who don't have it. The spirit was given. We're speaking to those who have it. Be blameless, man. Suffer thy brother in charity, man. Understand that we had different gifts and abilities and work for the better as the house of God, the tabernacle, man, and not against one another. Verse 23, whoso offereth praise glorify me, and to him that ordereth his conversation aright will I show the salvation of Yahweh. Heavy, man. Heavy. So you'll know a man by his speech, man. As the book of Sirach say, man. His fruits of his lips. Heavy. Heavy. John chapter 4, verse 22, man. Pre-camp wisdom, man. Much more wisdom to come, man. John chapter 4, verse 22. Ye worship, ye know not what. And to the men that's out here prophesying and claim to be prophets, ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship. So the men that have the testimony know what we worship. For salvation is of the Jews. Verse 23, but the hour cometh and now is. So we're in that last hour. We're in that 11th hour. When the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit, according to Rekah Kadash, and truth, which is the gospel and testimony of Yahweh Shai. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. He only wants those who worship him in that order. He seeketh those out, and he give them more wisdom. To him he shall give more, and to him that have little he shall take. Heavy, man. Context. Verse 24. Yahweh is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So understand that we're not waiting on a new covenant. We already have it. We've already retained it. For the elect have attained it. The rest were blinded. And for you niggas who have taken his covenant in your mouth, how can you declare his statutes, man, if you don't believe in the gospel? Heavy, man. Heavy, 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 man. Heavy. 1 Corinthians chapter 6. And I'm going to end it there, man. I'm going to end it there. Straight to the point. The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 6, starting at verse 12. All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. So it's not a law breaking if we're teaching behind closed doors or out front. That's not expedient. The expedient thing is for us to teach this gospel and be blameless. That's what's expedient. Not a nigga teaching behind the camera or a brother teaching in the streets. That has nothing to do with it. It's about us being blameless and separating ourselves and teaching this gospel and preaching forth the testimony and new covenant, man. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. And we are only under the power of the Spirit. Our preeminence is under who? Yahweh Shai Mashiach, and not by men. So we will not be brought under the power of any of thee. Verse 13, meats for the belly, and belly for the meats, but Yahweh shall destroy both it and them. Now the body is not for fornication, being blameless, man, but for the Lord, and for the Lord the body. So we have to make ourselves a living sacrifice here once again. See, Abel gave the first as his fruit, the firstlings of his flock, man. And we are the firstlings of Yahushai flock, man. His first fruits. So this is what he means in context about the Lord for the body. Now, the body is not for fornication, but for the Lord, and for the Lord for the body, man. We make up the body of Hamashiach. Therefore, our bodies have to be sacrificed unto him, being holy. Verse 14. And Yahweh have both raised up the Lord and will also raise up us by his own power. So being raised up in the resurrection through Hamashiach, we have been risen as well, because our body is not our own. He has purchased us with a price, man. He has purchased us with a price. Heavy, man. Verse 15. Know ye not that your bodies are the members of Hamashiach? What? Know ye not that your bodies are the members of Hamashiach? Shall I then take the members of Hamashiach and make them the members of an harlot? God forbid. So to the brothers out here amongst these camps, another warning to you. Separate yourselves from these brethren, man. If they have not the testimony, separate yourselves from them, man, so that you can do the work of the will of the Father. For the brothers in the new covenant, please make not provisions for your flesh, man. Be blameless. Be blameless. Be circumspect in all things, man. Be blameless. Abstain from the appearance of evil. Heavy, man. Verse 16. What ye know not, that he which is joined to an harlot is one body. For two, he saith he, shall be one flesh. But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. Heavy, man. Heavy. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body, meaning spirit. You do it spiritually first. But he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body. Be cleansed in the spirit, man, by the blood. Verse 19, what know ye not that your body is the temple of the Rekah HaKadosh, which is in you? We have that spirit within us, which fortifies us as what? The true tabernacle of God, which ye have of Yahweh, and ye are not of your own. Verse 20, for ye are bought with a price. Therefore, glorify what? Glorify the sacrifice we were bought with were by who? Yahweh Shai. The Most High prepared a sacrifice for us. So through our fruits of our lips, us professing him and professing godliness in our flesh, we made a covenant with him by sacrifice as well. Therefore, glorify in your body the living sacrifice. The what? Glorify in your body, make ourselves a living sacrifice, and in your spirit, which are God's. And with that, I want to give all praise to Kahalal Yahweh, by Hashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rekah HaKadosh. To you brothers in the new covenant, whether you teaching behind camera or out in the forefront, continue to preach forth the gospel and be blameless amongst men. And with that, shalom, Akia. Heavy, man.